How we doing, tin pailers? How's the weekend? I'm glad that I'm back on doing a wee vid because obviously I haven't done one in quite a while. Obviously because I've been kind of doing a lot of lives which are they were kind of a novelty. Because obviously doing them on StreamYard and all this, it's just new. And I'm just kind of figuring it out as I'm going along, do you know what I mean? It is fun in that, but I need to change it up a wee bit and start getting back to what I was doing before. I'm going to meet a couple of people tomorrow to go on a podcast. It's Sean Toll's podcast. Which I've actually been on before. I was on it last June, talking about prison psychology or something. And I'm actually got to meet Sean and another guy tomorrow to do it's like a kind of three-way podcast on, I think it's trauma in prison, or poverty, trauma in prison, I don't know. So I'm going to do that. That's tomorrow in Glasgow Town Centre. So I've got that, and then on the 8th of March, me and Portable, who's one of the guys that volunteers for Aid and Abet, who comes on my channel, me and him are going to some presentation by, I think it's the Scottish Drug Consortium. Obviously Portable has a lot of lived experience of addiction, and I would say I have myself because obviously I've dabbled in drugs and all that, right? I don't think many people in our socio-economic bracket don't know anybody who's not, but my point is I grew up around a lot of people struggling with severe addiction, and I'm talking like family members, but obviously a lot of friends have perished to addiction, and it obviously with my kid's mum and that, and my brother as well, do you get me? But it's to be honest, addiction isn't really something that it's not that I don't like talking about it, I just don't like talking about it, and it's not because I feel a certain way. I just don't really. I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong words. I don't know if I'm getting my words out right. I don't find it interesting. I'm into like talking about what I talk about. Do you know what I mean? And that's fair. Do you know what I mean? You can't be into everything. It's like some people don't like talking about crime, but like talking about addiction and poverty and trauma and stress related work illnesses or whatever, and that's fine, that's your thing. If you know a lot about that, then go and put back in by telling people. But it was almost like I just seen enough addiction that you'd think I'd have seen enough crime as well, but I think the interest in crime was always there before I became a criminal, if you get me. But anyway, so me and Portable have got that. And it'll be good to network as well, because to be honest, I don't know a lot about the Scottish Drug Consortium, but it's good just to network and be around people who want, or well, I don't know, as I said, I don't know a lot about what they do, but I'm imagine they want to at least make a dent in the drug deaths and all the other stuff that's been going on, because one death is too many. I don't know how many my family and friends I've lost to overdoses and drug deaths and stuff like that. It's just no nice to watch somebody waste away year after year. You're noticing the deterioration. It's not really nice, do you know what I mean? But anyway, I wanted to get into this case, right, which is still ongoing, and I do want to say some of this is pretty harrowing stuff, because I realise that I need to start, like, obviously I've no fully got my channel off its feet yet, so there's still things that I'm learning, but I need to start doing that at the start of every video, like disclaimer sort of thing, in case people complain. But as I always say, I don't get why you would watch these videos, because the clue is that the fucking, it's in the title. Why would you watch something about serial killers if you were fucking offended or squeamish? Just doesn't make sense. But anyway, I want to say that the person who's been arrested and charged, innocent till proven guilty and all that shit, know what I mean? Fuck's sake. But this case, the ball got rolling with this case in, say 2009 or 10, right? The authorities in New York City were made aware that there was a serial killer who was targeting like escorts and people selling sexual services online, Craigslist, Backpage, whatever. And I remember watching a documentary about it in Adwell just before I was released in 2010. I got released in May 2010, so it must have been maybe March or something. It was so it was an alright programme. That's where I first became aware of this case. So I got out in May 2010. So fast forward to December. Right, sorry, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. There was, the reason that this case came to light was because there was a escort by the name of Shannon Gilbert, she was last seen at a secluded home on, I think it was Oak Beach, New York, like Long Island. I've studied this place on a map. It is actually pretty secluded. It's like really, it's right out the way, right? It looks like a gated community. I don't know if it is gated, but very private, secluded, you know, people just don't want bothered. So she was last seen there visiting the house, and something went on in that house, and the guy who requested her services ended up telling her driver, listen, get her the fuck out my gaff. She's arguing, she's just being erratic, whatever. But I think I'd seen or read somewhere that Shannon Gilbert was prescribed medication for, I think it might have been manic depression. So obviously if she has been on medication and she's maybe been using drugs or whatever, then that could obviously have caused the apparent psychosis. So she's ran out that house, never been seen again, right? So now we get to December 2010. She's been missing for months, over a year I think, and a cop was walking along the stretch of beach, Gilgo Beach it's called, and the dog went into the death position, which is the indication that the dog has smelled human remains, and they dug up this small area and found 4 dead bodies. Now, I don't think you need to be Sherlock Holmes or fucking have a psychology degree to realise that whoever put these 4 bodies here is probably more than likely the same person. In fact, I would bet my life it's the same person, but I just like to speak like it is most likely the case that, see all that shite, but do you know what I mean? They were all wrapped in burlap, like a jute sack, like a potato sack, and I think some had ligatures around their throats, and they were all the skeletal remains, so they'd been there some time, if it was Shannon Gilbert's body, then there would have been severe decay, but it wouldn't have been skeletalised, do you know what I mean? So obviously, when they've realised they've found like fucking 4 females of the same height, general height, weight, fucking socio-economic bracket, all this stuff, they've realised like this is the same guy, the victimology is the same. They've started a wider search, and when they've started the wider search, I think, so that was December, I think about 3 months later they found another fucking 6 sets of remains, right? And I think one of them was actually a baby, a child, a toddler. And I think what the killer had done was met the mother, who must have been desperate enough to bring her child. And I don't know if he knew that the woman had a child or no, but he left the kid to perish. You know what I mean? Scumbag. So, while they've been finding all these other remains, right? Obviously the fucking cases went through the roof. The media and the news networks. Quite a big case, and there's been some quite good documentaries on it. One of them was The Killing Season. That was a decent one. But I remember at the time there was people coming out and saying this is 2 separate killers. There's 2 serial killers using the same dumping ground. I don't think so, mate. I've never heard of that. Like, knowing any of the literature, 2 serial killers who don't know each other using the same body deposition site. Do you realise how astronomically fucking unlikely that is? Especially when all the victims are all similar. They're all very, very similar. They have a lot in common. So obviously everybody said a theory, but it's like, you don't know until you know. Nobody knows who it's going to be. But at the time, my info was very limited on this case. There wasn't a lot in the media because there was allegations of police corruption and fucking the FBI tried to come in and consult on the case, but the was it Long Island PD or whatever, that says they didn't need their help. And then the police chief who was investigating this case, I think his name was James Conway, I think that was his name, he was arrested for fucking corruption, like shagging hookers and battering suspects and shit. So, nice guy. You know what I mean? But the Gilgo 4, so there's quite a few of these victims, but the 4 individuals found at Gilgo were I always remember their names were, let me think, Amber Costello, Melissa Brainerd Barnes, Melissa Bartholomew, and what's the 4th one? Oh damn, I hate that. I can't remember. And I think the last one that I mentioned was actually the first one to be taken out of those 4. So they were found together. But the funny thing is, when they found the sets of remains, one of these sets of remains were linked to a severed head found like halfway across Long Island. This poor lassie's her name was Jessica Taylor. She had gone missing in 2003. So you see the crossover here, like in 2011 the cops are searching this area and finding bodies from, say, 2 years prior, 4 years prior, but then they widen the search and then they start finding body parts where these body parts are from long before that, and then they're linking it to prior cases. So you see, and I can see why some people would think there's two killers, right? Because you're finding somebody who's been dismembered, right? And then you're finding another victim who is intact. So you have to ask yourself, why do that? Well, that is a good question, because it just could have been that he dismembered, that there's got to be a couple of reasons, and I don't know what the reason is, but I can only guess. Dismemberment offers a way to conceal a large body in a small space, right? Rather than fucking, walking out the fucking house with a body rolled up in a rug, you're gonna stick out. Whereas if it's in a suitcase, you're not gonna be as noticeable. You're gonna remember seeing somebody carrying a fucking rug that's maybe bending into an L shape. You know what I mean? But knowing what I know now about the offender, I wonder if this was some form of punishment towards the victim, or did he just get a buzz out of dismembering a 20-year-old woman? I think she was 20. So she would have been like my age, because I turned 21 in 2003. And the spooky thing is, right, because I was sitting in somebody's house. Was it last year? No. It was the year before. Get my years mixed up now. I've been out too long, haven't I? 2023. Think it was July. A suspect was apprehended in this case. His name was Rex Heuermann. And the only thing that I think I got right about this guy before I knew him was his, shall we say, I knew he was a white collar worker. I'd have bet my life on that, but other than that, I couldn't have told you anything else, because I didn't have enough information about the cases and stuff, so I couldn't really make a judgment. Other than I knew that he was a sexually sadistic psychopath, obviously going by the fact that the women were being kept alive and tortured and stuff, and he had called. This is what happened to one of the Gilgo 4 victims, right? So I think it was Melissa Barthélemy, right? She had gone missing, and her family were worried, really, really worried, obviously, as you would be, right? And one day they got a phone call, and you know how when somebody phones you, it'll come up tin pail, fucking whatever, and it came up Melissa. So they're like, yeah, she's showed up, and they're like, hi Melissa, and then all you've heard this voice on the other end like, it's no Melissa, mate. Do you know what I done to your sister or not? I fucking killed her, whatever. And he said, I'm standing over her grave watching her rot. That's what he said, right? And you know for a fact, this is the person who done this. This made the hair on the back of my neck stand up when I seen it. And he was messaging, he phoned back a few times, and they tried to triangulate the phone call, but because he was calling from Times Square, like, fucking find me somebody on a mobile phone in Times Square. Do you know what I mean? Quicker looking for fucking pink elephants. But it just shows you the type of person that you're dealing with. Somebody who calls a victim's sister and describes in graphic detail how they murdered your sister and you're never going to see her again. So you're getting somebody that's getting like a kick or a thrill out of mental torture, and that is one of the frightening things, because these women, especially the Gilgo four, I want to stick to the four of them, because they're the ones that I've kind of read into the most. Like the way I remember as well, the weight, the height, like they're petite, they would be easy to control, especially if you're a big guy. And the when this suspect was arrested, Rex Heuermann, this guy is a fucking stepladder. This guy is huge. Like, you'd be like, what? Absolute man mountain. And when I saw him and I looked at him, I just thought to myself, they poor girls would have been absolutely no match for this fucking vile piece of dog shit. And when he was arrested, there was a lot of press conferences and all that, and one of the interesting things was they'd released a lot of his Google searches, right? His Google searches, and you were like, I've seen this, man. This is probably the most incriminating thing I've ever seen for this guy anyway, because his Google searches, like Long Island serial killer case, why haven't they caught the Long Island serial killer? But he's also been Googling all these victims' family members, like looking for photographs, and Googling all these weird sexual fetishes and watching videos of, say, like snuff videos of women being tortured and murdered and shit. So you've obviously got somebody who's very, very dangerous, but behind the eyes, you wouldn't know. But the funny thing is, since he's been caught, a lot of people have come forward about him. And one of his neighbours said, me and my friend have been saying for years he's a serial killer. And he said, and then when I found out he'd been arrested, I phoned my friend, I called my friend, says, remember that guy that we always say is a serial killer? And he's like, yeah. And he's gone, he's actually a serial killer. Imagine that. You just get a feeling about some people, do you know what I mean? Some people just give off this vibe, this energy. To me, that's your fucking soul telling you danger, do you know what I mean? That's when the lights are flashing inside. But obviously, it's women that he's a danger to. I don't know if he would confront a male. I'm not saying he wouldn't kill a male, I believe he would. But I believe he's the type, he would need a gun in his hand, he wouldn't, like, fucking confront you dead on. Maybe he would, but anyway. This is how they got onto him, but right, there was one of the witnesses who was friends with Amber Costello, who was one of the Gilgo 4 victims, and I can't remember his name. I think it may have been Danny. Had a ginger goatee and stuff, and he said how one night Amber left her phone at home and went out to meet this guy, and all I seen was a green, it was like what the truck's called? Can't remember. Say it was a flatbed, no, a flat, what do you call it? It's like fucking, it was rare anyway, right? And it was like they only had like fucking, say, 500 sold in New York area, and he was like the only guy in the whole of Long Island, no Long Island, Massapequa Park. I think he was the only guy who had that. They drove past his house one day and saw it parked out in the street. So they looked at how all the phone calls and all the stuff were all within a radius of his work. He was an architect, ran an architectural firm since the fucking 1980s, so if you want to look at it, pretty seemingly successful, but also a white collar worker. And I believe that once they had like fucking they found that he was using a lot of burner phones as well, and I think that's what he was using to maintain contact with victims. And wait till his wife and children were away on holiday or whatever, then he would set up a meet, come back to my place, but there's like a fucking big soundproof room in the basement with fucking pulleys and fucking tables with straps on it, whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Silence of the Lambs shit. And I believe he would get the one back there, torture them and kill them. And some of the interesting searches that they also found on his computer were related to FBI profiling. He was see, this is what I find interesting. It's like, know how I always say how when you're in prison, all the books that people read is John Gotti, Paul Ferris, all the fucking great train robbers. It's like people using them not for training manuals, but inspiration, ideas, whatever. I think that the smart serial offenders like this guy is clearly an organised set, because obviously the FBI categorise serial killers into organised, disorganised, and I think there's a third category called mixed, but don't quote me because I've no delved into it for a while. But my current understanding is there is three categories, but I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me if anybody knows. But he's clearly organised, because getting back to the books, he'd files on his computer like it was almost like precision planning about these murders. Like, always make sure you've got petrol in your fucking. Always make sure there's plenty of fuel in the tank, because Ted Bundy got caught one time with a gas receipt, and he actually did, right? So it just shows you how well read this guy is in his other field, because he's an architect, but I think his actual pleasure was abducting and assaulting and killing women. And he's actually been charged with, I think it's another 3 murders. I think he's got 8 murders now or something, 8 murder charges pending, so he's not just been charged with the Gilgo 4 murders. The Jessica Taylor murder was 2003, but there was another murder, was it somebody called Sandra Castilla? And there was another woman, and I don't know if it's the Sandra Castilla murder or the other one, but one of these murders goes back to 1993. So, what does that tell you? Look at how long this guy's been killing. And I guarantee you he was killing before 1993. He was born in, say, it was 1961. I would say he had well committed a murder by the age of 25. I'll put a bet on that. And it's like I always say, I don't bet unless I think I'm going to win that bet, unless I'm convinced I'm going to win it, and I'm convinced I would win that, but you never know, and I will never know. And it's mad because they've linked this Rex Heuermann to other properties out of state, and one of these properties it's in North Carolina or South Carolina, but it's actually like in the middle of the fucking, it's on like the highway, but surrounding this house is just trees and trees and trees. So secluded, who's going to hear a woman scream, all that kind of shit. And I'm sure there was a serial killer from, was it North Carolina or South Carolina, Todd Colehep, who had been caught with a fucking living victim chained up in a fucking shipping container outside his fucking front door on his property anyway. So, not with the realm of possibility that he's been killing in these other states. In fact, I would go as far as to say what I just said. I would bet my life. I'd bet this channel on it. That's how confident. And they've linked him. I don't know if they've linked him to murders in Las Vegas, but he had a timeshare in Las Vegas. And hey presto, what do you know? There's been unsolved murders of escorts, like women who are living on the street taking drugs. There's been a few of them found dismembered and stuff. So to me, the guy's clearly guilty. But it's one of the ones, you need to let him have his day in court and all this shit. But if you ever saw a candidate for fucking stoning to death, this is one of them. Do you know? I like to think, because obviously, like, when I was younger and I was angrier and stuff, I just thought, fuck the world, if you get in my way, mate, you're getting fucking ran over and reversed over, do you know what I mean? But now that I'm older, I try and look for the good, try and be a little less cynical, but there is one thing that I will never deviate from or apologise for, and that is the fact that people like this should be dealt with extreme prejudice. And there's just no two ways about it, because when I look at some of these victims, that could have been my kid's mum. I know she's not like selling services, not online, but she's living the street life, taking drugs, going from like fucking like place to place, putting herself in situations where she doesn't really know who she's sitting with. If you're with her and you've got money, that's it, yous are pals today, do you know what I mean? But then when the money and the drugs and the alcohol's done, it's like, but goodbye. But what's to say one night that couldn't be her? And I do think about things like that. So you think of these people who have been robbed of a family member, and one of them I actually seen was one of the Gilgo 4, I don't know what one it was, right, but it said, so do you remember, she went missing, I think it was 2008 or 9, this is, remember the mortgage and the fucking banking crisis and all that was kick-started because of predatory lending, mortgage loans, right, lending people, giving people mortgages who they knew would default eventually. So I think she was threatened with eviction, and she went out to try and make money on Craigslist so that she wouldn't be evicted, and she turned up dead. But she left a child behind, and I think that's always the sad bit. The people that are left behind in the wake of criminality. So that's how, like, when I look at my own situation, I'm thankful that I turned my life around and I can stay away from drama and fucking the poison, because listen to me, they know, right? See, if you spend enough time running about people who are poisonous, you're going to become infected. And I'm speaking from experience as well. I don't claim to be a paragon of virtue or whatever. Far from it. But I'll always do the right thing in the end. I always know what my responsibilities are, and I always know what my duty is. And I think the older I get, the more I realise that. And like, this could happen to anybody, do you know what I mean? Just sad as, man, just sad as fuck. So hopefully, I don't know how long it's going to take this scumbag to trial, because you know it takes longer in America, especially when they're charged with multiple murders, and there's probably going to be about 5 tons of evidence, do you know? but they've linked him through hair. There was hair found on duct tape, and it was actually one of his wife's hair. But before you ask me, how do you know the wife wasn't involved? Well, the wife was actually out the country when this girl went missing. So, that's that. But I hope it's on Court TV when they go to trial for this, because I think I'll follow it. It is interesting, because it's even more interesting because I had been following this case before he was even caught. And I remember when I actually seen they'd captured him, I was like, what the fuck? Just come up, I think I seen it on my phone. I was like, no way, man. And a lot of things started making sense. But I think he's trying to get his cases divided up into separate trials, but I don't see them going for that, because I remember when they captured the Golden State Killer in 2018, there was like there was like fucking 6 different areas wanting to try this guy. So what they did was they amalgamated all the evidence into one case and put the case in Sacramento. So it began in Sacramento, it ended in Sacramento, do you know what I mean? But hey ho. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. I'm sorry I've not been making a lot of videos just now. Just had tons of shit going on, as you know, and just been too lazy doing their lives on StreamYard. Kind of a novelty at first, know what I mean? But I'll be putting out more videos anyway, because there was more cases like that Glasgow Beach string case. They were sentenced a few weeks ago, and I've not made a video on it, but I will. It's not as if there's any fucking use by date, do you know what I mean? But anyway, I hope you all have a good Sunday night, and kick fuck out your Monday. Take care.